Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I figured we'd shoot this video outside. It's such a beautiful day. I know I'm overdue for a video and I figured we'd just switch up the vibes. I'm actually shooting at 30 frames per second, which is a little unusual for me. Most of my videos have been in 24 frames per second, but honestly, I think for online content and YouTube, 30 frames per second is totally fine. And sometimes I kind of like the look of 30 frames per second. I know, a lot of people are shooting in 24 because it's cinematic. But yeah, for this video, we're gonna shoot in 30. And before I get into the topic of the A7C Mark II, you'll probably notice I'm using the DJI wireless lav kit, which is an awesome, awesome mic kit. However, I got it 3 days before the Rode Wireless Pro was announced. And I'm like, come on. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is a great kit. And I know there's the argument of always, waiting for the best technology to come and you're gonna just be waiting forever and ever. But I had been thinking about waiting for one that was gonna come out with 32-bit float recording. And lo and behold, as soon as I bought this one, the Rode Wireless Pros got announced. Now, I know they have the time code feature and I think that's a little gimmicky on that specific model, but yeah, I would love to have that for 32-bit float recording. But anyway, I don't know if I'm gonna return these just yet, but we're gonna run with it for this video anyway. So, the A7C Mark II and the A7CR are supposed to be announced next week. And they look like they're gonna be pretty incredible cameras, of course. I mean, every camera today is pretty incredible, but I'm a little weary on the price. I think a lot of the rumors and speculations on the price, I mean, they just seem pretty high. I mean, $2,500, $2,600 for a Sony A7C Mark II, when the A7 IV is about $2,500 new, and I think it's like $2,200, $2,100 used. I understand that it's gonna have the AI autofocus feature from the A7R5 built into it, and I'm sure there's gonna be some convenient features as well, like the AI framing from the Sony ZV-E1 as well. But I don't know if that justifies the price point to go up to $2,500, $2,600 for that camera, because it's gonna only have the one SD card slot. Well, I'm assuming it's only gonna have the one SD card slot. It just makes sense. I mean, the original A7C did, and the compact nature of the body is probably going to lean towards just one SD card slot. But that, again, is speculation. We don't know for sure, but I'm pretty confident it's only gonna be one. And that's not a big deal because I think the market that's looking at this specific body style is really using it for more personal use or travel, or just, they want a lightweight full frame camera to take with them. Maybe it's a secondary camera that they're just using for vlogs or just creating content. And that's totally fine. Another thing that I think it's gonna get critiqued on from a lot of people is the fact that it's gonna have the micro HDMI port. I don't think this is a big deal because of the nature of these cameras. I mean, let's be honest. If you're gonna buy an A7C Mark II or an A7CR, are you really gonna attach an external monitor to it? I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there that's probably gonna do that, but I don't know, it kind of just defeats the purpose in my book. But, I know it's not the ideal, and I'm pretty critical of that. Like, I was critical of it on the R6 Mark II, which makes sense, and also like the Canon R5C. Like, I feel like it's stupid to put that port on those cameras. But on like a A7C Mark II, I don't really see it as a big deal. Now, you can make the argument that if you have an Elgato capture card or some sort of device where you're gonna be plugging the camera into for, a live stream like OBS or StreamYard to connect to, maybe in that case, you would prefer obviously an HDMI port. But I mean, Sony's giving you the ability to connect not wirelessly, sorry. I slurred there for a second. They're giving you the ability to connect to a computer with a USB-C port and live stream that way. So I think that kind of solves that issue to some degree. It does seem like it's gonna have a lot of the same features as the A7 IV. Again, I'm talking about the A7C Mark II. In terms of the photography features, I do think it's going to have the 4K 60 and APS-C mode, of course, just like the A7 IV. Interestingly enough, though, the A7RC, I'm just making sure I get the names right, the A7RC probably won't have the 8K from the A7R5, but I honestly think that makes sense because these are gonna be very compact bodies, and like, they're gonna overheat. I mean, let's be realistic. I don't think the A7C Mark II is not going to overheat in 4K 60, even with it in APS-C mode. The A7 IV did. So to just throw 8K into the A7RC, I think it might last for maybe a few minutes and then like fry up in your hand. I don't know, to be honest with you. But that brings me back to the price point. They're speculating that it's going to be $3,400 for that camera. And $3,400 for a camera, I'm sure somebody out there will buy it. But like, to me, I think that's not worth it personally. But again, this is just my opinion. You know, you don't have to take my word. You can choose whatever camera you want to shoot with. It doesn't matter. I just don't understand why you would spend $3,400 on a 61 megapixel camera that's really compact, that doesn't have 8K video. Like, I mean, I guess I could see somebody out there doing it, but like, I just feel like it's not worth its weight. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, you're not that far away from getting an A7R5. And if you want those killer features, I just feel like you might as well pony up and just get the A7R5. You could probably find one used for maybe $3,500, $3,600 already. But I think the A7C Mark II is probably the better value, even if it is priced a little bit higher than people are anticipating. But yeah, I still think that camera should be $2,000 at launch, personally. I mean, maybe $2,100, $2,200, I guess you could make the argument there. I think $2,600 is a little extreme. But, you know, I'm sure, like I said, there will be people that are going to buy it on launch. I'm a little skeptical of the value of getting an A7RC at $3,400 with no 8K. It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I'm shooting on the Panasonic S5 Mark II, and I know this camera is, you know, 5-6 months old, and it shoots 6K open gate video. It's only $2,000, and now you can probably get it for like $1,700 used. Compare that to an A7C Mark II. I mean, it's going to have much better autofocus than this camera, but it's not going to have a lot of the other features that this camera has. It definitely won't have as good of IBIS as this camera. And if it's $2,600, I would probably rather have the S5 Mark II. Again, I'm not thinking of portability as much. It would be nice, don't get me wrong. I think having an A7C Mark II would be really convenient and really nice to have for just creating content on the fly. But again, I can't get over that $2,600 price point that everybody's talking about, or $2,500 price point. Like, I think $2,000 just makes the most sense for that camera. So yeah, anyway, without rambling on any further, I do want to talk about the 16 to 35 millimeter f2.8, the G Master Mark II. That lens looks like it's going to be awesome. I mean, the fact that Sony had the 16 to 35 released, what, like 5-6 years ago? And I actually had that lens for a little while. I didn't use it as much as I thought I would, but it was a great lens, don't get me wrong. It was a little on the heavier side, but I mean, it's a G Master, what do you expect? I think that with the new one, with having that nice aperture ring included, and then it probably will be also quite a bit lighter. I don't know if it'll be as light, or I'm expecting it not to be as light as the 16 to 35, but I don't expect any sort of in-body image stabilization. They don't have that in the 24 to 70 f2.8 Mark II, but yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a very valuable lens for Sony shooters. So I'm pretty excited to see that. I think it probably won't pair as nicely with the A7C Mark II or the A7RC as like the 16 to 35, or even like the Tamron 16 to 28 millimeter lens. But it is exciting news. I expect that's probably going to be around the $2,200, $2,300 mark for a lens, as it's a brand new G Master lens. So yeah, we'll see what the price point is on that. But anyway, I know I rambled on quite a bit there, but I wanted to share my thoughts of these two cameras being announced. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're bad cameras in any stretch. I just think for what the price is, or what we're expecting it to be based off of the rumors and the speculation, I think it's a little high, especially for the A7RC. The A7C Mark II, we'll see what happens. But anyway, Let me know what you guys think of this video in terms of the audio quality with a DJI lav mic. Again, as I said in the beginning of the video, I might be returning these soon just because the Rode Wireless Pros are available for pre-order next week. And I just think like for the $80 more that costs, you get 2 lav mics and they're locking mic connectors inside the Rode Wireless Pros, and you get the 32-bit float recording capability. So I know my friend had, well, he has the Rode Wireless Go 2, and the gain is like, it's a little hot when you record in a lot of situations. At least that's what it sounds like. I know the audio quality is a little bit better than the DJI wireless mics, but yeah, I mean, I think for the 32-bit float recording capabilities, it's kind of a no-brainer. So I think I'm going to be returning these, and I'm not brand loyal. I mean, to some degree I am, I guess, but I think the DJI mics are great. It's just, I want that 32-bit float recording inside this. So anyway, without wasting any more of your guys' time, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'm planning to shoot a couple more videos later this month. I am going to be returning my S5 Mark II to Lumix Pro Services because I have had an audio issue that I mentioned in a previous video that I have not figured out what the solution is for. It's happened on every single mic configuration that I've used with the camera. And it's only when well, it's not only, but it's usually when I have the audio gain level. It's sound record gain level. I think I said audio in the last video, set to low. There's 2 modes in the camera. There's standard and low. And when you set it to low, there's like this really weird high-pitched clicking noise that gets baked into the audio. And I found out that when you switch the frame rates, like if you're monitoring with headphones in the camera, you know, while you've got the mic connected, you can switch frame rates and you'll hear the clicking noise picking up in speed. Like, so if you switch from like 30 to 48 to 60 frames per second, the noise will get even faster. Now, there's some like bug noise in the background that this is probably picking up, so that's not what I'm referring to in this video. And I'm shooting on the standard mode, like I mentioned before, because it's not as noticeable. But yeah, I want it fixed. I've noticed a couple of other people are experiencing this issue with their S5 IIs. I don't know about the S5 Mark II X's, but yeah. So I'm gonna be sending this into Lumix Pro Services, which means I'll probably be out of a camera for, what, 2-3 weeks, maybe. So yeah, with that being said though, I appreciate you guys checking out this video. I definitely plan to have a couple more videos coming out later this month or early September as well. I definitely want to get more content out for you guys and testing more gear, sharing my thoughts on gear, and yeah. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.